What's up guys, this is just saying lore, and welcome back to another Frostpunk video. This time we'll be discussing the timeline of each story within the Frostpunk universe. The first story is The Last Autumn. The Last Autumn gives us, the player and lore enthusiast, an idea as to how the deep freeze took place and what were the procedures that each of the individuals living in pre-deep freeze frostland conditions worked with, and how they survived, and the fact that the frostland was actually a giant forest, as I said. So The Last Autumn shows you what the government and the Imperial Exploration Company were working on as contingency plans to deal with should the worst come, which, spoiler alert, if you have already played the game fully, the worst did come, and the deep freeze took over. The Imperial Exploration Company was responsible for constructing generator sites that would act as the new home for the old world and the starting of a new civilization that would somehow be able to adapt to the frigid conditions caused by the Frostland. As I said, The Last Autumn is the first story within the set, followed by the story of Winterhome. The story of Winterhome follows. The story of Winterhome follows a large group of people working in the FOB, the Forward Operation Base within the Frostland, that was set to control and oversee the transportation of resources from London into the Frostland that would then connect up with New London and Tesla City. Tesla City was the steam core factory as well as an exploration and scientific city that was responsible for finding out new ways of combating the freeze. Winterhome was to act as the HQ for the two cities and control logistics, as Winterhome was in charge of a weather station, an exploration station, and it was also in charge of a bridge. We can see in The Last Autumn that a supply team or a trained supply team was carrying resources integral to the generator of Winterhome. However, that team never made it to the site due to the beacon at Winterhome going out during some infighting. So, the two scenarios that fall right after The Last Autumn are Winterhome and the refugees. The refugees follows right after the deep freeze took over and a massive evacuation process had actually taken place. During this time, the wealthy aristocrats and lords and politicians left the city in droves in land dreadnoughts and ships in order to find their special designated location to set up camp and begin anew in this frigid frozen world. Following these various expeditions, situations gradually got worse, and as such there was infighting within London and most of the old civilization. And as such, we reach the area of New London and the Arcs. New London takes place as right after Winterhome fell. During that process, New London would not be able to contact Winterhome as the city was deserted due to the explosion of the generator and the leaving of the land dreadnought to find a new place to set up. New London begins its expedition recovering most of its people and also somehow managing to recover and rescue, as I would better said, rescue the resupply team for Winterhome. These individuals were carried back to the city where they explained that they lost their way due to the fact that the beacon had went out. Later on, spoiler alert, if you have not played the game, click off from now, as I'm about to drop some details as to what happens during the ending or nearing the ending of the New London Make a New Home story. Nearing the end of the New London story, we experience the massive storm, which lasts for approximately 7 to 8 days, dropping temperatures to minus 100 to 120 degrees below. During this time, or nearing at the same time, we have the ARCS scenario, where a group of scientists from Cambridge are set up to protect the crops that will become integral to the survival of mankind, and they work tirelessly to prevent the deep freeze from killing these plants. The storm approaches quickly as it has already passed through the New London region and is now heading to the ARCS. And as such, both of these scenarios take place a few hours behind or a few days behind each other. And that was an explanation or a detailed description and understanding of how each of the events correlate to each other. You have the last autumn coming first, followed by Winter Home and the refugees, along with the ARCS and New London, being New London coming before the ARCS. And that is a timeline directive of how the Frostpunk universe operates based on the scenarios released so far. I'll see you in the next one.